I'm gonna give it a shot. All right, give your thumbs up there. I think.
So I saw your business partner yesterday. I saw Bruce in action at the Xero Roadshow. Oh, I got the hearts on the cup. I like that.
Very nice.
So yeah, he actually did a really good job. Let me actually. There we go. Let me fix my camera. He did it was a really good event. You know, we talked about a lot of different things. Relatively good turnout. So.
Yep. Well, that's great. That was in Miami.
Yeah, in Miami at the A1A Museum and Theater or something like that. Who was there? Expensify was there. Receipt Bank was there, and Avalara. Those were the three vendors that were there. And I want to say there's probably 16 people in the Accelerate portion, and maybe like 20 to 30 down below in the deep dive. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad turnout at all.
Engaged crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the pros were, a lot of them are still scratching the surface, so that they're just trying to figure out how it all works and whether or not to plug it into the. So, but yeah, it was fairly good.
That's great to hear.
Good. Yeah, how's everything with you?
Can't complain. Moving into the new year, lots to do. So I don't do tax, so it doesn't really affect me.
So you're just sitting back while everybody's running around like crazy?
Oh, well, don't tell them that.
I mean, you're not sitting back. Never mind.
I'm working very hard.
Very hard, very hard.
working on a lot of content. We're putting together a guide, in particular for businesses in Australia that want to come to the United States.
Nice.
So, yeah, the goal is to. I looked online and there really isn't that much content,
right?
For that kind of niche. And we do a lot of those kind of businesses. So where the full service approach is really beneficial.
Right.
Yeah. So, anywhere from getting them set up legally, helping them open the bank account, helping them hire the first employee and set up benefits, all that good stuff. So
nice.
Yeah. Nice. So it's a lot of content actually. I'm at 3,000 words and I've only scratched it. So
that's pretty good.
Wow.
Awesome.
So how do I tell if we've got viewers? I don't think we have any viewers, right?
Yeah, I think it's just you and I so far. So I think right at the top, either above your screen or my video, there's your image right there. And off to the left, it looks like a little eyeball. So it's just you and I.
I see it.
Actually, let me see here.
Well, I can't imagine that
anybody would be so excited about joining
a new platform like Blab. There probably aren't that many accountants on it at this point.
Exactly. Let's see.
Hey, at least we have the recording for posterity.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So you got a demo recently of. Oh, did you drop off? There we go.
So I learned what not to do. Don't click on the Blab icon in the upper left, or it'll take you to their home screen and kick you out of your current session.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. So you got a demo to Sushio. What'd you think?
Yeah, so we were really impressed with it. It has some very unique use cases at this point, right? And I could actually pull up my notes on that because we had Anne, one of our top implementation folks, go through and do some testing.
Right.
But it tends to work really well if you have one account and you're using a third-party system to process everything in Stripe. So you're not sending invoices out of Xero with the Stripe link. Although they can do that, it works best if you are doing everything separately in Stripe and you just want to sync the transactions into Xero automatically with the fees, taken out. Because, right, the big problem with Stripe is that they deposit everything net of fees every day. So you have to do that manual reconciliation process, and then Sushio takes care of that. But yeah, I mean, if you have high volume e-commerce clients, it can save a good amount of time every month.
Now, when you say
Definitely.
just one account, you mean like I'm just using Shopify and I'm just having one deposit?
I think I should have clarified it. So I think everything at this point goes into one income account.
Gotcha.
So, because they don't know what those Stripe charges are for. So it's all going to go into one income account. I guess you could break it out later, using reporting tools and whatnot, but then that sort of defeats the automated, process.
Gotcha. You know what? I didn't even catch that. I got demoed as well, and I totally didn't even think about that. I was actually, I was going through the demo with someone at Sushio, and I think probably the first thing that came to my mind was, what if someone's using like Deer Inventory or Sin7, and they're generating invoices from, let's say, your Shopify account, and all that's dropping into Xero, and then here comes Sushio coming in, creating invoices for the same thing.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. You have to make sure that you don't have two tools syncing the same information, so it requires pretty careful setup.
Right.
Definitely.
Did you see a way around that if somebody's using an inventory software?
No, I don't think we did. Let me see. I want to see my notes from here. So here we go. Oh, did you try the PayPal integration as well? Because they sync PayPal into Xero.
I did try the PayPal integration, but doesn't Xero already have a PayPal integration?
It does, but I don't know about your experience. We have major issues with the PayPal feed.
Really? Yeah,
into Xero.
I haven't had that yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you have really high volume, it'll drop transactions, duplicate transactions on a pretty regular basis, and so trying to hunt for those is really challenging.
Gotcha.
So we actually, when a customer has high volume PayPal, we will just manually do the import every month. So and actually we use HubDoc, so that really streamlines things. So HubDoc will go and it will pull the CSV file for the transactions for the month in PayPal, and then we'll manually import that into Xero.
Gotcha.
And there's steps you have to take too. You have to format that CSV file so that you get the fees, you get the gross amount. But that works well. But it would be great to have an automated process to import properly.
Right.
No, but so you haven't run into the PayPal issues.
No, I mean, yeah, I haven't. I mean, we have a good chunk of clients that are using that PayPal feed inside Xero, but no, when we compare it to the actual PayPal account, just to make sure everything balances, we haven't had any issues so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the big benefit for us, like say we're using Sushio and PayPal, the big benefit is that the client no longer has to wait until the end of the month to see how they're doing, because Sushio is importing the transactions on a daily basis.
Right.
Whereas if we do the CSV import, then they have to wait.
Gotcha.
So yeah. Oh, and I'm looking at Anne's notes here, and she does say they have to have one revenue account. They cannot have sales revenue for Stripe transactions flowing in from other integrations. So I suppose you could have like multiple Stripe accounts, right? That's what you would need to do. Yeah. And so you'd have that one Stripe account that you're just using for your third-party processing. But then inventory stuff would have to be a different Stripe account.
Yeah, that would, I'm sure that would just be way too much work.
Yeah. Yes, it's too bad that PayPal and Stripe are not into building better integrations on their own.
Yeah, it's we have one client. Like for example, I have a client out in Colorado. They sell soap. They're called Sasquatch soap, and they have a tremendous amount of volume coming in through at one point PayPal, but they've built some good Shopify integrations, and now it's all flowing through through Stripe. And yeah, I mean, there's like 3 different revenue lines streaming through the Stripe deposit. Part of it includes some invoices that they kick out through Xero. Another part of it is, what they call subscriptions, which is actually kind of fun. That is people who are signed up on a subscription plan that buy soap on a regular basis, and then kind of like the one-off stuff people like buy during the holidays. And so they kind of want to break all that stuff out.
Right.
And I mean, it's an atrocious process to go through to try to link up invoices to the invoices, or payments to the invoices, break out the subscriptions, break out the one-time fees. It's just not fun.
Yep. I hear you. E-commerce is tough.
Yeah. Do you guys have a lot of e-commerce?
We do. I mean, we sort of have quite a variety of clients, but my personal, I mean, because of the complexities of sales tax and integrations such as this, I think it's e-commerce is good if you're really going to focus on it.
Right.
Otherwise it's really hard to stay up on all the latest developments. Like Scott Scharf just blows me away with his knowledge of e-commerce and his firm, Catching Clouds. That's all they do, and so he's able to master all the apps and know what's going on with them. I mean, but he has like a spreadsheet of dozens of applications, and he maintains that spreadsheet as to their feature sets,
right?
Because it's always changing. So yeah, I tend to prefer professional services, right? Especially if they're virtual firms themselves. I like working with those a lot. But we have to do it all.
Yeah. I mean, his vertical is pretty intense. I definitely give him credit for that, because he has mastered that vertical and all the technology app stacks that he would implement for someone that's in selling whatever things through Amazon wholesale or online or whatever the case may be. So it's really cool to watch him in action.
Well, yeah, and the sales tax in particular is really complex, and that's just going to keep getting, I think, worse. As states try to raise revenue because they're running deficits.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to go after online sellers, and if you're an Amazon FBA seller, right? If they're fulfilling all your inventory, then they have I counted 21 states where they have warehouses now.
Right.
So then all of a sudden you have a presence in 21 states because you're using Amazon potentially.
Right.
For your fulfillment. So we really need some sort of centralized system.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you tampered at all with Avalara and its integration with anything?
I have not played. Yeah, I mean, we've played around with the direct Xero integration they have now, right? But I haven't played around with any of the other tools. But it's really awesome that you can look up the sales tax rates right within Xero. That's amazing.
Yeah. For
small sellers, I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, cool. Well, it looks like no one's joining us, so it's kind of funny.
That's all right. I was wondering, because I was looking at what kind of shows there are on Blab right now, and it seems to be a lot of video games and cooking, and not a lot of accounting going on.
Well,
and even
t-shirt businesses right here.
I was wondering about that. Are you getting into a new line of work, Will?
Nah, I'm just decorating the floating wall, the lattice wall that's behind me. Actually, we just moved into our new office space. So behind me, I'm actually towards the back of the office space, and we set up this floating lattice wall, obviously cost effective, right? And and so we just threw some of our t-shirts up just to kind of add decor. So it actually works out not too shabby. So we just
I like it.
Yeah, so we got a nice little space going on here. I'm waiting for our 3-in-1 air hockey table to arrive. So
that'll be great for productivity.
Exactly. When you're here 14 hours a day, you might as well take a air hockey break.
That's good.
So
good philosophy. Well, I've decorated my new home office with my my fleet of boats that I aspire to own one day.
All three of them.
All three of them, yeah, and we'll race them around. You're welcome to join me on that. I think I have to become a lot more successful before I can do that.
Yeah.
Flotilla.
Exactly. So have you ever heard of Blab before?
No, this is the I'd heard of Blab as a competitor to, or an alternative to Periscope, right? Like you said, for more than what you can have up to 4 people in a Blab.
I think so. Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So I like the idea of being able to basically have a show like this right? And talk about the apps. And you know what we should do is we should promote this on accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners, that Facebook channel.
Yep.
As a show for other accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners.
That would be great.
Because they have so many questions about apps. Yeah. And we can answer them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should probably do this on a regular basis, or at least see if there's any traction or demand.
We'll do like 10 of them, and then if nobody joins, we'll give up.
Exactly. So Thursdays work for you, so we can do one every Thursday or something like that.
Let's do it. I like this time.
Yeah, this is perfect. So you said there's a new Expensify feature. I have not actually checked it out. I was actually trying to look at it. I don't know if there was an email kicked out. Maybe I missed it.
Yes, well, so it sort of happened. I don't think they've really like announced it. Well, they aren't making a big push about it because it's something that's still under development.
Right.
So Expensify built a new Xero integration. Their Xero 2.0 integration.
Oh, I saw that. Okay.
So previously, the only thing Expensify did with Xero is they would push a purchases invoice into Xero for the amount of the expense report with the line item breakdown. So employee generates the report in Expensify, gets approved by the supervisor. Supervisor syncs it into Xero, goes in as a payable, right, due to the employee with all of the line items for what they're owed. And then you can either pay it with Expensify or pay it in some other system, right, and close out that payable. Now, Expensify has what they call corporate card reconciliation in Expensify. And so what you can do, these are for cards that are not reimbursable to employees, right? These are cards the business pays and the employees use. So non-reimbursable expenses. So now with the sync, if you mark expenses as non-reimbursable in Expensify and you put them on a report and you sync them into Xero, instead of going into a single purchases invoice, it will actually send all of those non-reimbursable expenses in as spend money transactions directly into the credit card account in Xero. So it's creating the individual transaction in Xero. It is putting in all the notes, the tracking category, if you have that. It is attaching the receipt. If you have a receipt image, that's brand new. So now they're syncing in receipt images.
Right.
And I just tested this last night with some personal cards, and it works great. So I can do all of my coding for all of my credit cards in Expensify, put all those transactions on a report whenever I want, sync that into Xero, and then I just go into Xero and everything's already matching up. I just click OK a bunch of times.
Nice.
Yeah, and I really like the interface for Expensify in terms of like categorizing transactions, and it does a really, really, really good job of automatically categorizing transactions.
Gotcha.
So you can, it like knows, I think there's like certain codes that are on credit card reports. Like every vendor has a certain like code,
right?
Sort of like a master chart of accounts for credit card expenses.
Right.
And you can map those master accounts to specific accounts in your chart of accounts. So like 90% of your transactions will be coded correctly. So every time Uber and Lyft come up, it automatically goes to ground transportation, and you don't have to set up rules for each individual vendor.
Gotcha.
So we love it. We're using it for right now. We've been using it for clients who have, like a corporate card with like 10 sub accounts, and it's really hard if you're just using Xero to get all of those people to tell you what everything is, right? So you typically would have like a bookkeeper in Xero, and they'd be making notes on almost every transaction. What is this? What is this? And then they have to email all 10 people and find out what those things are.
Right.
So now they can each categorize the transactions in their own account, send that in as a report, and we're done. Nice.
Yeah, I was messing with the app, and it is really a slick little interface.
And the mobile app is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the mobile app. You can do almost everything on the mobile app too.
Right.
Which is nice.
Now, do you guys, messed around with like Receipt Bank or HubDoc or any other the competitors as well. I mean, I really like HubDoc's fetching tool. Although I've had a couple hiccups on it, and I've literally HubDoc actually has locked one of my clients' accounts, like their bank accounts. We connected it.
Oh, because it tried to log in too many times and probably set off the security.
Something like that. Basically, he had to go to the branch and be like, "It's me that was doing this," and all this fun stuff. So,
whoops.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But the fetching is just awesome. I love it. I mean,
yeah. So we're using all three different use cases.
Right.
Our internally, really, that's what HubDoc is for, like fetching the check images and the statements and the CSV files for PayPal and all that. No brainer, I think, for an accounting firm to be using HubDoc if you're doing a bunch of client accounting. And for Receipt Bank, Receipt Bank's interesting because you would think that Expensify and Receipt Bank duplicate, but I would say that Receipt Bank is a lot easier to use because it has a very simple, purpose, right? Which is to submit receipts using your phone or email, and then to sync those into Xero. So It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that Expensify has with reimbursements and with report. It's very, very simple. And so we'll use that typically for clients where it's just the only thing they have is a corporate card. Right. So you have a client and they have one business credit card, everything goes on that, and they submit their receipts to you, and it's easy to sync in. Expensify we'll use for the more complicated cases at this point. And I should mention that setting up the corporate card thing at this point is still tricky. Like you have to do what's called domain control. So you have to be able to you have to prove that you own the domain that the company is on. So like HPCCPA.com, when I set up that for corporate cards in Expensify, I had to put a text field into my DNS server and prove that I owned it. And that allows me to take control of all the employee accounts that may have already been set up.
Gotcha.
And that's the only way that you can use the corporate card feature at this point. They're working on making it easier, but so setting that up for every single client is not feasible because not everyone even has their own domain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we use Receipt Bank for the corporate card function. That is, they don't have, they have employees that aren't submitting reimbursements or anything like that, but they have maybe 2 or 3 corporate cards that they're letting their employees use. So we'll tag on Receipt Bank versus Expensify, and probably for that same reason that it is simpler to use. It's easier to use, not for our sake, because I love all the bells and whistles. I really like Expensify, but just because I like something like that doesn't mean that people who just want to scan a receipt like something like that.
Yep. And Expensify requires, and one reason it's more complicated is that it requires everything to go onto a report before it can be synced.
Correct.
Which doesn't really make sense that's the way Expensify was built, because it was originally built for reimbursements only, right?
Right.
So, and that's the way you have to use it for syncing these corporate card transactions. So it's a little unintuitive, right?
Do you have any use cases where you're using HubDoc, the receipt scanning portion, that is the receipt tracking area?
We were waiting to see, how it developed because, good OCR is really important to us. So I don't think we're officially using it at this point, but I'm really curious to see how it goes because, that would be nice to have everything in one place. Receipts, statements, check images, and sync all those into Xero.
Yeah, I was playing around with it on my personal account because I did want everything on one platform. It would be nice to just have the receipt tracking and the document fetching option, and it was working fairly well. I just stopped playing around with it personally and get distracted. But
so it was recognizing the vendor names. Does it put in all the detail on the receipts?
It does put in all the detail on the receipts, and you do have the option of changing the detail on the receipts. I was doing it online. I've not done it on my phone. I don't even know if they have an app on the phone, to be honest with you.
I think they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I have not messed with that. I probably should mess with it more because, they do. Yeah, I mean, it would just be nice to have everything on one spot. The fetching tool and the receipt tracking tool, because then you can just set up clients in one spot, and you wouldn't have 2 or 3 different kinds of softwares you have to log into or use.
I know. I mean, even internally, our new hires get overwhelmed. I'm just looking at my bookmarks bar and all the different apps that I've got. Bookmarks here. Receipt Bank, Bill.com, Xero, Expensify, Asana. Goes on and on and on.
Access, whatever.
Yep, everything.
Cool. Well, so far it's just you and I, so we can probably cut this early if you want. I know you're probably.
Yeah, I think half an hour is good. Let's try this again next week.
Absolutely. So, should we? Well, how do you think we should approach that one group that's on Facebook? Do you think we should set something up, or we're just going to say we're just going to discuss cloud-based apps for accounting firms and just leave it really open-ended?
Yeah, just do like a office hours sort of thing or a Q&A thing.
Right.
Bring your questions, and we could we'll have to come up with a topic just in case nobody has any questions.
Okay. Exactly.
But I think that'll be fun.
All right, I'll set it up and I'll share the link with you. And
let me. And before we do that, I better check my calendar.
Oh yeah. Let me do that myself.
Let's see here. And nobody's watching, so we can do this online.
I'm open.
Yeah, I think I can do it too.
All right. Perfect.
All right. I'll see you here next
you want
week.
me to do it, or do you want to set it up on Blab?
Why don't you set it up?
I can do that.
You know what you're doing.
And what's the group that's on Facebook?
It's called Accountants, Bookkeepers, and Business Owners. You might have to be invited, so I'll do that.
All right. Or maybe I'll send it to you and you just post it.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds good, man. Well, good to see you again.
Great to see you too, and have a great end of your week.
All right. We'll blab later.
Bye.
All right. Bye.